certainly runs deeper, way deeper. I mean, the security apparatus is there that want to requires a restructuring, the judiciary, of course, the political, of course, our multi-party democracy, not just devolution of power. It goes way beyond mere devolution of power to the federating unit, including it includes multi-party democracy, deepening internal party democracy. Yes, it goes beyond mere devolution of power to this federating unit. And there's this story here: pastor backs life jail for raping minor in Ekiti. You see, Mr. Badejo, I ask myself, what will possess a man? Even when you say a minor, I think another word should be found. They say you are someone has raped a 5-year-old girl. I think another word should be, because that is not rape. You can only rape someone who can give consent. Abi?
Yes.
So I think a more serious and apt word, somebody that cannot give consent, you say you have, and then I think there is a mental psychological side to a man. How would a 5-10-year-old girl be attractive? Attractive. What would be the attraction? I think there must be a mental.
Truth of the matter is, it's usually done for ritual purposes. So that is, and the person is quote pastor.
Yes, it has to be quoted. In fact, that word has to be quoted in application in that regard. It has to be quoted. You are right. Well, he's back to a life sentence for that. His eyes, his senses, he will be back to his senses now. He will be recalibrating. Yes, 4 to die by hanging for armed robbery, murder in Ekiti. And suspected self-kidnapper, 8 others arrested in Delta. Those people do due diligence. You go and arrange a kid. That's a federal offense. And I think the minimum is 7 years imprisonment. She said she wanted to extort money from her mother. Some of these things amazes me. We move on to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. At the appropriate time, our listeners and viewers and the contributors will be throwing up open the studio lines, and of course you will be adding your voice to these conversations. These are conversations that shape the Nigerian agenda. Moving to the Vanguard newspaper, hardship, labor kicks as 20 states deny workers' wage award. We're certainly going to take a look at that. And on local government autonomy, Supreme Court reserves judgment on FG suit against 36 governors. A minimum wage. We will pay what we can afford. That is President Commander-in-Chief. I like that. Labor kicks. Okay. As 20 states. Okay. Naira down to 1,500 in parallel market. I faked my kidnap to extort money from my mother, 27-year-old lady. Well. And here this one. Motorcycles importation rises by 50% to 73 billion. What are we doing with motorcycles? Okada.
Empowerment program.
What empowerment?
That is what some of lawmakers use
to empower people.
To empower people, not minding their skills and certification.
I look around Ibadan and I drove through a particular. I don't want to mention it. I drove through a particular section of Ibadan twice last week, and I saw, and I mean, tens of thousands of Okada, and I was scared that all of this constitute a security threat. And I'm not sure the state government has data regarding. Somebody was telling me, Oga here was telling me yesterday that as at 2011, there were 130 something thousand Okadas that got registered. And of course, you could have imagined that would simply have probably quadrupled. That means we probably have 500,000 bikes in Ibadan. And then
Ibadan is big.
Yeah, Ibadan is big, but if you collect 100, what they say they have they collect 100 naira.
Government will always be skeptical about clamping down or
It's
banning
not, you know,
because
monitoring.
of the money they are making from them.
What about monitoring? What about the security threats that
They are
make?
monitoring actually. I do see some Ochma guys.
Do they have data? Do they have data on these guys?
I don't want to believe they do not have data.
Name, locations. We know some of these guys have no residences.
They have registration that they done almost quarterly. Though government is doing it for revenue generation's sake, but those guys do drop some data in the process. So if the government is not keeping those data, that's another thing entirely. And it will be their fault. But they have no excuse not to have data.
I do hope so. And local government autonomy, okay, that we're taking that. Police arrest 6 in national security breach crackdown. Well, and inflation, investment firms project rise beyond 34%. That is very serious. And National Association of Sea Dogs says Democracy Day, political class holding Nigerians by the jugular. Another mining pit collapse in Niger. 3 killed, 1 injured. NCDC alerts on cholera outbreak. And let's move on to another newspaper this morning. Let's go to the Nation newspaper. And the first story here says, Tinubu appoints Yakubu as new budget office chief. That's Ayedatiwa Agbola, 15 others make final list of Ondo governorship candidates. Remember that Jimo Ibrahim is still in court.
Good luck to him.
Don't forget what he did to the candidature of PDP, and Supreme Court did not deliver judgment until about 24 hours, and that probably added to the failure of the thing.
I don't know. He knows what he seeks to achieve, but the takeaway is that parties should learn to embrace internal democracy. If you had done things properly, there will not be any reason for somebody going to court.
Actually,
but when you always want to play a fast one to favor somebody, then those who are aggrieved will go to court. And you now come and be wanting to use party machinery to clamp down or to discipline those people. It's not going to work. The right thing should be done from the beginning. That is the way forward. So that's where I used to say that our politicians are not disciplined. They are a bunch of desperados who would do anything just to get their own ambition. And it shouldn't be so.
To serve.
Well, not to serve, to rule.
To rule and reign. Yeah, Justin, appeal court voids Yaya Bello's contempt case against EFCC boss Olukayode. And Ekiti gets new head of service. An NLC TUC to Tinubu consult Labour before submitting minimum wage bill to NAS. Those guys are in Geneva, but they did the smart one. They left somebody as acting president so that there won't be any void. You know, that was a tactical maneuvering.
And also a dangerous one. What if the so-called acting now decide to compromise?
Olubada designate Olakulen Yowolabi inspects new palace. Magnificent palace. We'll take that story and juxtapose, as they say. Okay, let's move to another and interesting one. Rowdiness mars Senate public hearing on $4.45 billion NLNG Train 7 project. And let's take a look at some other newspaper. Leadership news. Amid failed regulation, British curriculum dominates private school. Amidst failed regulation. And Nigeria central to resolving African learning crisis. Federal government Wema Bank partnership has cancelled on seaports, land borders, trade facilitation. Wow. Bank customer lose 59.3 billion to fraud in 5 years. 59 billion. That's 10 billion. 10.2 billion per annum. That's That's serious. Yeah, still from the Daily Trust. Taking headlines from the Daily Trust.
Almond 94.3 FM, your delightful experience. Almond 94.3 FM, your delightful experience.
Almonds FM 94.3, the model of
Yeah, thank you so much for staying with us. Still, I'm on 94.3 FM, and of course, this Friday morning, the 14th day of June. The show is Almond Headliners. Yes, let's take some headlines from the Nigerian Tribune. Consult us before submitting new minimum wage figure to NAS. Labour tells Tinubu. And Tinubu appoints Taminu Yakubu as DG Budget Office. And Nigeria's crude oil production drops to 1.25 million barrels. Now, if we have a quota of, let's say, 1.8 million, does that include domestic consumption?
No.
So that people can get all these things there. So we can as well produce 3 million if we have the capacity for
Which is what is going to the international
export,
market.
the international market.
That
So-
is estimated.
So when they say quota, it involves only. Yeah.
But there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Our high OCs produce for the international markets.
Yeah.
That is why Dangote is raising that alarm,
Yeah.
because he's a local refinery. And these are some of the problems why our local refineries have not been working.
But the problem is when Dangote was putting the refinery together, didn't it factor the issue of raw materials? So that's one of the major issues when citing industry.
We have it in abundance. And of course, is a government policy. Why would NNPC not be involved in the exploration? Why should government not be involved? Why would they just sit back and be collecting royalty? That's the problem. They're not involved in the
What
exploration.
about, you call them IOCs? Are there no local exploration going on?
There's none that I'm aware of. Most of the local oil companies are not really into exploration. So some of them are just they are also collecting royalties.
What about
They
those
still
who
partner?
of course, they
partner
partner
with the IOC that did
They
the
partner- they
exploration.
partner
collect
with-
their own royalties. They are
not the
really-
big IOCs that we know, SPPC,
that is what they
ExxonMobil.
do. Most of them don't really get involved in they just, once you see an individual say when they say an individual
What about the richest woman in
own
Africa?
a oil well,
What about
they
the
will set up
richest
a
woman?
company. That company is not they don't have a reach of their own, for instance. They will partner with another
The
one.
technical partners, they call
Yes,
them.
so that's what they do. That's what they do. But they own the license, so they trade the license and get commission on the license. That's what they do. And
On the license or on the crude?
The license gives you access to the crude oil mine, and that is,
So who now dictates where it is sold?
of course, what is your own business with where it is sold? Your business is to get your own money, and if it is coming, then you don't care about where the oil is being sold. That's why we have huge amount of oil thefts, because the so-called oil theft is theft to the government, but income to those who are selling them.
Who are these people?
The Nigerian Navy will know, as well as the NNPC.
When this administration came in, we had all sorts of noise coming from the 500,000 metric tons of crude arrested. We are not hearing that anymore.
Because probably those involved had settled the noisemakers, and now the mic is off.
The mic is off. Wow, the mic is off. Yes, I think that is coming from OPEC, and that's official. If it is coming from OPEC, Nigeria's crude oil production drops. Let me take that story. Nigeria's average crude oil production in May dropped to 1.25 million barrels per day from 1.28 million barrels per day recorded in April, according to direct communication from the OPEC. This data comes from OPEC monthly oil market report for May, based on direct communication with Nigerian authorities. However, secondary sources reported an increase in crude oil production to 1.41 million barrels per day, a 5% rise from the previous month. So, despite the decline, Nigeria remains Africa's largest oil producer, followed by Libya and Algeria. Total OPEC 12 crude oil production rose by 20. Okay. Non-OPEC crude oil production decreased by 150. Okay. And so, where is that? OPEC says it dropped. And the reports from Nigeria says it rose. Why is the contradiction? I remember during the campaigns of Boshut Kashima Olawale Abiola, he said the NNPC, the transactions ongoing in NNPC is as opaque as the crude oil they deal in.
And it is still opaque after more than 30 years.
And he said he was going to deal. I mean, why won't we have a daily production? I mean, like Aramco. You saw that report on Aramco.
That's why I'm saying that until we have an NNPC modeled in that form, our oil industry will still be food dragging, or let me say crawling.
Now, okay, the decision to take receipts of funds for the sale of crude oil, how do you?
By the CBN, it doesn't change anything.
Oh, really? But doesn't that mean NNPC doesn't have money to play around?
The oil thefts.
No. But at least it tackles the declaration by NNPC that they don't have anything to declare. They don't have so much money to play around with anymore. 200 and something accounts,
The ones that they present to them will be the official one. The unofficial, the NNPC will still find its way.
What is the unofficial?
The unreceipted one.
Unreceipted. NNPC does that too.
Don't let us be going.
No, we need to.
They know what they do. The solution to NNP is 1, audit them. 2, rejig the management.
Why not simply take it to
the best way
market?
Is to do what? Do what you have just said. Enlist it in stock exchange. Let private sector come in and let it not be run as a government establishment again. That way, whichever way the private partners run it, that's their business. What government will be interested in is their own equity share. That way, we will not have problem. That's the way Aramco was set up.
What do you think should be the equity share of government?
40% should be fine.
40%.
40% should be fine, because they will still collect their own taxes and whatever from.
Anyway, yes, they will still collect tax. Yes, they will still collect tax. Okay. Let's go to the headlines. Now, Dangote refinery plans 5.3 billion. Well, let's take a look at that. That has got 5.3 billion liters fuel storage. Plans it. Don't they have it yet? President of Dangote says he's expanded the storage capacity of his refinery by 600 million liters. Okay, they already have. Dangote spoke at the Afrexim Bank annual meeting and African Caribbean Trade on Wednesday in Nassau. Now let's move away from that. 1,500 naira is the exchange rate now.
It may change before the end of the day.
To what?
So whatever, it depends on where the strength is. Was it not okay? I think it's during the week that somebody was saying that the federal government should go after idle votes of forex.
Idle?
Forex votes.
Okay, how does that mean? Idle?
It's what I've said here in this studio. We have them in Maitama, Asokoro, Wuse,
Idle?
Ikoyi in Lagos, where the forex are under air condition in some private residence, not within the banking sector. And we are complaining of forex.
Would that is this sustainable if you pump all of that into the foreign exchange?
It will strengthen our reserve. And that means we can always defend the naira with them.
Why shouldn't we defend the naira with production?
We can't because we are not producing now. It is when you are producing that you can be doing that.
So why don't we just simply produce?
Those money are not supposed to be there.
They're not supposed to be.
They are not supposed to be outside the banking system in some private vault. What are they doing there under air condition?
So how did they? How did?
What will happen is that eventually those who have kept them there are planning to launder them, and we all know what money laundering is, an international offense. Those who have been caught by Interpol, they know what they are facing now.
No. Let's imagine this. I mean, is this a store of value or just criminal activities?
In Nigeria today, dollar is a store of value. Though money naturally, economically, is a store of value, but
the dollar is more of a store of value than the naira.
Dollar is more of a store of value than the naira now. They treat dollar like they treat gold, and that's why the value is not coming down. By the time it goes out of those people, then they will no longer be able to manipulate the value because it's out of their reach.
But
if the government does not clamp down, the clamping down would mean
invasion of private
it will create a panic at their own hand, and they will quickly be releasing at whatever amounts. You understand? That will make it to be underpriced
because it is illicit funds.
You understand?
So everything they have is profit.
Exactly. So whatever they get from it is still profit. So they make it to under, and that panic it creates will crash the rate. So that's what the man is saying.
But the sustainability.
Look, once it's crashed, the CBN knows what to do to keep it in check. After all, it was 1.9 around February. And it's been kept in check now. Between 450,
by defending the
between 1,450 and 1,550. That's what it has been. Sometimes it even moves down to like 1,300 and something. So that way, even the projection by fixed rating says it will be ending the year around 1.4. 1.4 compared to 1.9 is still a reduction, so to speak.
By the time Dangote, he's talking July now, I was talking June before. By the time Dangote operates fully.
When he said June, I said, well, let's make that June, August. Now he's saying July, let's make that July, October.
Okay, well, I was actually projecting everything for October. How would that impact the economy?
It will reduce the pressure on that forex in terms of demand, because supply is not meeting up with demand. That's why there's a problem. How will it reduce it? The refined product that we are sourcing forex for, we will no longer source forex for.
To be available locally.
It will be available locally. And of course, what Dangote will produce will be in surplus of what we can consume. So
that will still bring in forex.
And that will further bring in forex. We are reserving forex. We are adding more to it. So that is the way it's going to help the economy. That is what the government had in mind. But the main problem was that mistake of May 29 last year. That statement was misinterpreted by the market. The market responded. You understand? And it was a mistake on the part of the president. Where I have issue with him was him not owning up to the fact that, I made a mistake on May 29. That would have made people to stop criticizing him. But he still is flexing muscle on it. You understand? Because
he says it was seized by courage.
Every one of them said, you protest from now to December, subsidy will go. But when he was saying, he was just trying to explain something, and the market responded. So they had to quickly make it official without making plans for the removal. Now the removal was now done, putting the cart before the horse.
But some are arguing that in the Nigerian space, if you commenced any conversation about removal of subsidy, the cabal would have prevented the removal.
That is what we were made to believe. But the so-called cabal too are the beneficiaries of the subsidy, and they are not going to lose. Now, I heard this from somebody who is in the know, that on point, one of the northern, was a senator, was a governor, told Jonathan that they are tired of collecting subsidy money. When Jonathan was president, that they are tired. That means the money was just too much that they don't even know what to do with it. You understand? And these are the same set of people that they were trying to stop, because eventually some of them began to now fund terrorism with
naturally. I mean, when you have
you
so
don't
much.
do that. You're supposed to invest in productive activity, not terrorism, because you are not happy with those who are ruling your state or something. That's where they made a mess of the whole situation. So using free money to sponsor insecurity.
And security agencies are where?
Some of them are allies. And as far as I'm concerned, even the governor of Zamfara confirmed what we have been saying just 2 days ago at a security town hall organized by a private media house, that political interference is impeding the fight against terrorism. That if he had his way, that he will end it in 2 weeks. But he's not in charge. And of course, those in charge are also being disturbed by political interference. That was the term he used. I'm quoting him now. He couldn't explain further, but I understand what he was saying.
How do you understand it?
Political interference means there are powerful individuals who are untouchable in quotes, that the president is aware. Remember, Lai Mohammed was always playing around it. We know them, we have their list, but they will refuse to publish. You understand? Using that maybe as a kind of subtle threat that, look, you better stop this thing or we may expose you. But they never did, because they're powerful. You understand? Even those sense? I have in mind, I cannot mention their names because I am not sure they are the one. But I don't want to believe that they are not involved.
Powerful in what sense? When you say they are powerful?
When we say they are powerful, it's no longer news that we have an establishment in the country.
Everywhere there is an establishment.
Who dictates the pace, and who potential presidents always go to consult. Those are the people that we're talking about.
The establishment. That's just like the establishment is trying to stop Trump in the United States. We move on. Yes, Almond 94.3 FM is the station. And of course, Almond Headliners is the show this morning.
94.3 FM, your delightful experience.
Almonds FM 94.3, the model of broadcasting.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Yes, Almond Headliners this Friday morning and live. With me in the studio, Mr. Badejoko Adesumbo. Yes, of course, preparations are certainly on for the great sacrifice, and the one that we call Salah. Yes, this morning, as we take a look at the headlines, let me take this particular headline from The Nation. Tinubu appoints Yakubu as new budget office chief. And you know that Yakubu, Tanimu Yakubu. And I said to myself, why all this recycling? The moment I saw the man, I say again.
You know, one thing is that we are being ruled by the same set of people. Just, they are divided into factions. This faction comes up and incorporates some other loyals or maybe the moles in the other faction that helped them to come up and put them. And when they are not getting along, they will be feud. They compromise them again and bring in another faction. Because they have compromised, they also get compensated. So that's why you keep having some names. The man that I wouldn't know if he actually could not stay in the office due to tenure of office, or probably they are bringing him.
He was a minister during
for something else.
Jonathan put him in office too.
I'm talking about Ben Akabwezi.
Ben Akabwezi, yeah.
It could be. It could have been penciled down for something else.
Certainly.
Because I know
he's a Tinubu man.
He's a loyal Tinubu man, and he would definitely be holding an office. So if he's leaving that place, maybe the cabinet reshuffle may have him replace Kuda. Or who is the finance minister? They can't go there, but it may have him replace Kuda.
National planning.
Bagudu, rather.
Okay, this national planning.
National planning.
Yes.
He will do well in that.
All those governors, yes, but I don't know what Bagudu is doing. Well, let's go to another story in the Punch. Judiciary faces integrity crisis over conflicting judgments, and the story goes thus. The Nigerian judicial system is facing a crisis of confidence as conflicting court judgments flood the legal landscape, despite the principle that courts of coordinate jurisdiction should not overrule one another. Recent events have highlighted numerous instances of contradictory and counter orders from various courts. Courts of coordinate jurisdiction by law are not supposed to overrule one another. If a party is aggrieved or dissatisfied with the decision of the court, the aggrieved has the constitutional right to appeal to a higher court. A court of coordinate jurisdiction cannot give directions over its equal. To this extent, a court of coordinate jurisdiction cannot overrule itself or its equivalent in any state for any reason. The one that beats me, because these things have to do with original jurisdiction. It is the Kano matter. The chieftaincy is an exclusive preserve of the state. And the Federal High Court entertained a suit regarding the chieftaincy matter in Kano. And of course, yesterday, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, that particular court came to say it had jurisdiction, based on the fact that the issue that was brought before it was something of fundamental human rights.
The issue is not the court. The issue is the judges.
Okay.
And the judges are human beings. And they unfortunately had to deal with politicians.
May we take this, please? Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you can do better than that. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
It's a Friday. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Wow. Your name and location, please.
I'm learning from Ibadan.
Leye.
From Ibadan.
Familiar from Ibadan. All right. Your contribution, please.
Sir?
Your contribution. Go ahead with your contribution. I think he's just waking up. Please call back, and it's a Friday. Let's be vibrant. Yes.
So,
not the court.
They are dealing with politicians who I described earlier as a bunch of desperados.
These are not politicians.
Oh, they are.
The kings, the emirs.
I told you, ordinarily, because of the family tie, Bayero will not take Lamido to court. It is the forces behind them, which are politicians, that are now steering the waters. So, that's why I said it is the politician. Chieftaincy or no chieftaincy, it is the politicians. For instance, we are yet to have an Olubadan because of political interference. If the normal thing has been allowed,
is it Olubadan?
Well, I just veered into that so that you know that we are.
There's actually a story on that.
But the politicians are the ones who want to dictate everything, and they also want to dictate the judgment and the pronouncement that the court will make through the judges presiding over it. And that is why we have had this conflicting. You go to this court because it's of coordinate jurisdiction. You go to that court, bring in your prayer.
Those federal high courts were revenue courts.
It's because most of them have been upgraded because of this quota system thing. Yeah, so they have been upgraded to have coordinate jurisdiction, have equal status, and in the process we have expanded the number of judges and all of that.
Federal high courts, as it sounds, are supposed to deal with federal issues.
The thing is, federal high courts is the same. What we have is branches, just like the Court of Appeal. So they are equal rating. So there is no superior federal high court to another. Whatever you brought before it is what will be adjudicated upon. You may not be looking at the jurisdiction in terms of the theater of the events. You understand? But when that is what we will be looking at. But they are the lawyers, they are the ones that knows which is right and which is wrong. So politicians always want to have their ways. And because we are in a democracy,
are the judges looking like they are?
Judges are under pressure. And some of them...
What pressure?
Look, don't worry. They look at... And of course...
You have forgotten Bukachua, the senator, who rose in the Senate, hallowed chambers of our Senate. Mm-hmm. And he said was it not a sort of a valedictory speech? And he was saying his wife in the Court of Appeal had been of immense help to his colleagues. And then he said,
now, to the wife, that's the pressure from that quarter. Do you understand?
What is that? You go and tell your wife who is a judge.
Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Or was it somewhere on another platform that we talked about the Hodili case? How was Hodili able to get a perpetual injunction?
Let's even talk about
so
that.
No. We have to say it.
And it has never been vacated.
You understand? And so the man is still playing God in River State. So when you look at all of that, and who are the ones? Is it the judges now or the politicians? The members of the bench understand their role in a democracy, and they are willing to do their role if truly they are allowed to do so.
Who is holding their hand?
You know, when it comes to funding, legislative hand will appropriate.
No, what happened to first line charge?
Executive hand will disburse. They don't have direct funding like that.
What happened to first line charge?
That is what we are saying. All these things are being interfered with.
Let's move on. You can join the conversation on 070470943. Yes, 070470943 and 09011111943. 09011111943. Join the conversations. These conversations, they are what shape the agenda. Yes, the next story here from The Nation. It says Olubado designate Olakuleyin inspects new palace. And the story goes thus. Olubado designate Obawolabi Olakuleyin on Thursday performed his first official function outside his Alalubosa residence with the inspection of a multi-million naira modern Olubado palace at Okearemo, Ibadan. Before now, Olakuleyin, who had been receiving visitors at his Alalubosa residence, GRA, expressed delight over the completion of a befitting new palace that will soon be commissioned. The project was scheduled for commissioning but postponed due to the transition of the immediate past monarch, Oba Leke Balogun. The Olubado designate, who was accompanied on an inspection tour by members of the Olubadan Council thanked God for counting him among the living witnesses. He said, I am highly delighted to be among the living to inspect this project, so we have to thank God. Ibadan people need to appreciate God for this. The President General of the Central Council of Ibadan Indigenes, Barrister Niyi Ajewole, while conducting the Olubadan designate and his entourage around the new palace, thanked Governor Seyi Makinde for his support in making the project a reality. He said the project was set for commissioning, adding that it will be done when the governor fixed the date for the coronation of the new monarch. Ajewole assured people that the date for the coronation ceremony will be announced soonest. Governor Makinde, during the state burial rites of the immediately past monarch Oba Balogun, confirmed that he received the recommendation of Oba Owolabi Olakuleyin by the Olubadan Council as the next monarch of the ancient city. He admitted that the kingmakers have allowed the due process in their recommendation of Oba Olakuleyin as the next Olubadan. But the governor said the coronation ceremony will be put on hold until Olakuleyin was strong enough. On the entourage of Olakuleyin were Oba Gbadamosi Adebimpe, Oba Kola Adegbola, Oba Abiodun Kola Daisi, Oba Isioye Dada, Chief Bayo Yero, Mogajis and Baales of Ibadan land, and hosts of others. Saturday, 8th June, the governor was quoted to have said that the due process has been followed, and then the coronation will take place when the Olubadan designate was strong enough. Now we see the Olubadan designate, Oba Owolabi Olakuleyin, making a public appearance, inspecting the new palace. Juxtapose, please.
That's an indirect way of saying, Your Excellency, Mr. Governor, kindly give us a date.
I am fit.
Or
he is fit.
That is.
I am. Is he I am fit or he is fit?
He is fit. That's what the statement is implying. That move rather is implying.
Because the Central Council of Ibadan Indigenes
is represented here.
No, they're actually in charge of the palace thing.
Yeah. So we're saying, Your Excellency, Mr. Governor,
the KBC is fit.
Kindly give us a date. The KBC designate is fit.
I don't even understand this thing. KBC designate since March
until coronation.
Oh, you remember that one of the high chiefs of Ajibola also said that Olakuleyin Owolabi was not fit enough. He said until Senator Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja Adeotun Olubadan responded, asking whether the man was a medical
doctor to have satisfied his witness. But let's now leave. That's why I say political interference.
How do you mean? The man has been nominated. What political interference?
Wait it now. Why did the delay is what I mean by
no. It was only 8th of June. 8th of June. Today is 14th.
These are not supposed. The fixing of that thing till that what is it called? Final right too. It's not supposed to. Is it not a Muslim? Was it not a Muslim?
It's a state something.
Do they delay like that before they do feed out? I beg, leave those. When we say certain things.
No, but the Ibadan's case is settled.
But it is been unsettled now. Because we are not supposed to be talking about all these things at this time. We are supposed to forget about it. We have your case still there.
Well,
when would we have another Alaafin?
That's a different matter. And
that is supposed to be a kind of superior in quote throne. To that of the Olubadan.
Maybe that is why it is taking so much time.
Okay.
Yes, we move to the Vanguard now. Hardship. Labor kicks as 20 states deny workers' wage award. That is. I don't even understand what the labor unions in those states are doing. Let's take the body of that story. And the president says, we will pay what we can afford. The president says we'll pay what we can afford.
That's it now. They will pay what they can afford.
The story here says 8 months after the federal government commenced payment of 35,000 naira as wage award in addition to 30,000 minimum wage to workers, and urged state governments to replace it. 15 states are yet to do so, while 7 paid briefly and stopped. The wage award was to lessen the burden of economic hardship on the citizenry pending the implementation of a new minimum wage. Meanwhile, 15 states are paying sums ranging from 10 to 40,000 to their workers as wage awards or salary increments. States that are not paying include 1 in the southeast, 4 in the south-south. If the states in the south-side should be their oil-producing states. Virtually all of them. Except for Edo.
No, Cross Rivers.
Okay. 3 in the northeast, 2 in the north central, and 5 in the northwest. Meanwhile, states that paid wage awards for 1 to 4 months and stopped include Delta, Niger, Plateau, Kaduna, Bauchi, and Nasarawa. On the other hand, states that are paying are Lagos, Edo, Bayelsa, Imo, Enugu, Anambra, Ebonyi, Ondo, Osun, Ogun, Oyo, Ekiti, Kano, Kwara, Cross River, and Taraba. Even Cross River that is not oil producing. I don't know what is happening to Delta, why all of that is happening. You remember what
he's claiming that he's settling the debts held by his predecessor, so he can't afford to pay extra now. That is
isn't governance a continuum?
What Governor Sheriff is claiming. Even though he collects an average of 25 billion monthly as allocation.
That's highly ridiculous. Those days, wasn't there a schedule for their payment?
I don't know what.
And can't it even be renegotiated? What is the wage bill of Delta, for God's sake?
That is what he is made to believe. Well, the wage bill, though, now to be factual, of those states are not, they are not fixed.
How do you mean?
Because they have a lot of people on the payroll of government that are not in the service.
Where are they?
They are outside of the service.
Doing what?
Rendering consultancy for the politicians. Consultancy in quotes. I don't want to use.
Governance has become an amorphous thing. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, the radio man.
Good morning, Mario.
Thank you very much. Our analyst. Good morning, Sir, Your Excellency.
I'm not a governor. Good morning,
it is actually good that it is His Excellency.
Okay, sir. So, on the issue of the minimum wage, I don't know what is holding the government back, announcing how much they want to pay. Tabawa there will Bambe. I'm telling you, for how long do you want to come out?
Maybe you have 62,000. Maybe you have 62,000 proposal.
But the president said it's going to pay much more than that.
What do you think the president will do?
People are waiting to see what will be the outcome from the president. So they are waiting his own response before they will know what to do.
What do you think the president will do? I guess 70,000.
I think it might fix it for 70,000 naira. But 100,000 naira we've been clamoring for is not even realizable as
well. Do you think 100,000 is nice? I think 70,000 will be reasonable.
70,000, even looking at the economy today, looking at the standard of living today, 70,000 cannot even do anything. Even if they peg it at 100,000, yes, of course we are good to go.
There will be consequences.
Of course, even when we have not been collecting it now, are there no consequences? So
should we compound the consequences?
You said?
Should we compound the consequences?
But I don't know. Like, look, okay, let me give you an example now. Just this morning, as you are reading the headline, you read that the World Bank wants to give a loan of billions of
$500 million US dollars.
Here. Let me shock you. Part of that money will be used to fund House of Rep, lawmakers, whatever. They benefit from that loan because we don't have money that can. The money they are collecting.
So how do we pay a loan that we are going to be giving out to people? That's unproductive consumption. That
is how they have been doing. That is the reason you have been clamoring that there should be a reduction in the cost of governance.
People are saying they should earn minimum wage. What do you think?
Yes, they should earn minimum wage. Governors should earn minimum wage. Look, if a governor should be a civil servant, it cannot be. It cannot. Yes, the level will be like
permanent secretary,
level 18 or 20.
Even if they hand minimum wage, they will still spend the budget.
They
are handing salary that they are not spending now. So whatever you put as their take-home monthly, they will not touch it. It is still the budget that they will spend. So it's not
Of course,
about
we
how
know-
much salary they are getting. It's about how much being budgeted to run those offices they are occupying.
Of course, you are right, 100%. You are very much correct. But it will be in history that at least even the amount they are collecting, we know that they can't dare touch it for the period of 4 8 years that they will govern. That's for sure. But at least it will be in history that we are collecting the same amount. Even if there's going to be a difference, it just might just be maybe a slight one. So, but what we are clamoring for is that let there be a reduction in cost of governance, and let the price, even if our governors and our lawmakers are not collecting minimum wage, they are not being based on minimum wage, let there be a cut in their salaries and emoluments.
Mario,
We have some other money.
a senator said that all of us are complicit in this matter. That we are the ones that put pressure on politicians.
Yes, he said it. But how about those of us that are not even close? For example, I don't know my councillor in my area.
Let me give you an
example.
example. A former governor in this state,
Okay.
he had visitors and he distributed money. Of course, he didn't allow anybody to go. So after the last man was, attended to, he asked this chief detail. It was the chief detail that told me this. He said, he now asked the chief detail, he said, we have spent 69 million. He said, the governor now faced the audience and said, the money pay 69 million in Motikpin by loan. And he asked them, I said, where do you think I got the money from? The people came, and the man said, I knew.
Wow. Well, it's as bad as that.
I knew a governor in this state Friday morning like this.
Yeah.
Good morning, Your Excellency. Envelope. You are collecting envelope. Good morning, Your Excellency.
See, but must we toe that line? See, doing that, we have a consequence.
Isn't
Look at
that
what he said.
redistribution of wealth?
I'm telling you.
Sharing
look
of the
at what he
national
said. That the government said, that the particular governor said, so as you know, 60 something million.
Yes, the chief detail told me.
Yes, and that
And he
how
told them
spend
that
the money.
they stole it. He asked
And that's
the
how
audience. How
And that's how
do
they be spending the money on a daily or weekly basis, monthly basis. So multiply that by month, a year. Wow.
and 8 years.
8 years. How long that? Wow.
I mean,
Wow, wow.
you have a wonderful
Thank
weekend.
you.
God bless you. Yes, it's a wrap on Almond Headliners this morning on Almond 94.3 FM. Mr. Badejo Gwadesumbo. Yeah. To the Muslim faithful,
Yes.
a word out there for them.
I
As we
wish
wrap
them
up.
Eid Mubarak in advance and a wonderful Ileya festival celebration.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And thank you for your contributions. God bless you all. I'm my studio manager, Coca Oluwaseun. God bless you all. God bless our union. Have a splendid and refreshing weekend.